Dodge TV studios with Terry Bell for more of today's community comment.
Thank you very much, Jake, and welcome back, everyone. This is Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Our guest today is State Representative Andrew Hysell. We're talking about the recently wrapped up Assembly session and all the legislation that affects us back home in the district. If you have a question or comment for Andrew, we invite you to join the program. You can call or text at 920-885-4446. A bit of state business happening outside the state capitol. In Eau Claire, a group of Wisconsin school district teachers, parents, and organizations are suing the state legislature, arguing that public schools have been underfunded for decades.
Yes.
I take it you support that.
Do I support the underfunding of schools?
The legislation.
Oh, you mean the lawsuit?
The lawsuit.
Yeah. Sorry, Terry.
Sorry, I didn't make that clear.
No, this is a complicated issue, so I really appreciate the fact we're talking about it, and so, just to let constituents understand what's going on, and the public can understand this issue. So, the Wisconsin Constitution, we have our state constitution, just like we have our federal constitution. It creates a right to, and I'll quote it, all students have a right to an equal opportunity for a sound basic education. And we actually count that as pre-K up to 20 years old. So under our state constitution, you actually have this right. And what this lawsuit that was filed in the Eau Claire Circuit County Court says, and it includes school districts and parents of kids, is it basically says that right is not being met currently by the way Wisconsin funds schools. The way Wisconsin funds schools has changed dramatically, okay? From 2002 until now, we've seen Wisconsin go from the 11th, ranked 11th out of 50 states in school funding, to 26th. And that has happened while simultaneously a record number of school districts are going to referendum. We have 421 school districts, 150 went to an operating referendum in 2024, and about 70 did in 2025. So how is this possible that we're seeing our property taxes go up while our school funding is going down? And it's really simple. The state has retreated from its responsibility to adequately fund basic education for all of our kids. We have been doing that over 20 years. It's why everyone's property taxes are going up, and it's why school funding's gone down, and this lawsuit seeks to address that.
Certainly. As you mentioned, this is a trend that's been trending for a long time. When and how did the idea to come about to address this in the courts come about?
Well, the organization behind this is named Law Forward, and it's a really exciting group of dynamic lawyers committed to the public good and trying to promote, trying to stand up for people in the judicial process who need a voice. And in this situation, they pulled together apparently a bunch of plaintiffs and filed this suit in Eau Claire. Law Forward is doing this work, again, I think, because if they didn't do it, who would? That's really important thing to point out. Our legal system works well, but you need entities out there like Law Forward pushing these kinds of lawsuits.
Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong. The state, at least on paper, is required to fund 2/3 of public schools.
That's been the historic commitment, and it's gone down to 1/3. And let's just give you an example, okay? You've got an amount of money that comes from the state level to support your local school, and it's raised through things like sales tax and income tax. Your local school gets that money, then they don't have to have as much of a property tax because it's being paid for by the state. In the past 20 years, primarily under Republican leadership, that has shifted. So now much more of it's on your locality. That is why we have referendums, record number of referendums. And it really makes me mad because I'm in the state legislature now, and we get to say, look at our giant surplus. We'll give you a tax cut, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, we're going to tell your locality, you don't get as much money. You're falling behind based on inflation. So you need to go to your local taxpayers and squeeze more out of them. That is not fair. That is fundamentally not accountable and not fair. And I think this lawsuit is it's gotten that bad. It's gotten that bad that it is now literally, this scheme, our funding scheme, is violating the state constitution. That's highly problematic.
I understand also in the Constitution that there's also quite among many other the benchmarks that you mentioned that the education be uniform throughout the state, and that the idea of our funding formula is so that some of the bigger and more prosperous communities can share that largesse with sparsely populated rural schools, the kinds that we're seeing having to go to referendums so often and are having a real tough time right now. Down the road from us, the Hysell School District is on the verge of dissolving or having to merge with other nearby school districts because they're in that very kind of predicament.
Exactly. Historically, and it all made so much sense. And we're talking back when like Tommy Thompson was governor, a Republican. Everyone agreed you needed to fund schools equitably because small rural schools, they have higher costs, frankly, because they don't have economies of scale. They need more state support. Lower income communities can't raise as much off the property tax. Like if you're living in Mequon, Wisconsin, it's a very wealthy suburb in Milwaukee, and your house is $1 million, the amount you're paying on property tax supports the schools. But if you're in Beloit, Wisconsin, that doesn't happen. So we had a formula. We had a formula that used to make this work so that you could make sure it was fair. So that didn't matter if you moved because your parents got a new job, you wouldn't suddenly go to a really bad school because you just happen to be in a rural area or a more low income area. But again, that has been undermined at the state level. It's a structural problem. And what's so frustrating for people is that they're being forced to raise their own taxes locally because we are not doing our job. And so we need to fix that. I'm really hopeful after the fall elections that we will be able to address that and start turning the ship back so that we don't have to keep having these referendums because people, understandably, their patience is running out.
I asked about the timing of this lawsuit filing earlier, and it occurred to me that, and I wanted to ask you, do you think this has to do with the fact that if this does go up to the Supreme Court, that, perhaps new, more sympathetic majority could see this through?
Our Supreme Court, my perspective on the Supreme Court is they are very solid jurists, that they follow the rule of law, that they give equal weight to all sides, and they treat people with respect when they come before them. So I can't predict what the Supreme Court would do, but at the end of the day, whether these guys are successful or not, it's important that they make these claims happen, because if you look at their lawsuit, and I've read through it, it makes some really compelling arguments that our state constitutional protection of the right to an equal opportunity for a sound basic education is currently being violated by the state's policies. So let's do something about it.
Our guest today on Community Comment is State Representative Andrew Hysell. We need to take one more quick break, but we'll be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
And welcome back to Community Comment. It is the last segment for today's Community Comment. So without further ado, here is Terry Bell in the Daily Dodge TV studios.
Thank you very much, Jake, and welcome back, everyone. Our guest today on Community Comment is State Representative Andrew Hysell. If you have a question or a comment, we invite you to join the conversation. Our talk and text line is 920-885-4446. Very recently, a new bill was introduced that would make health insurance more affordable in Wisconsin. Basically let a lot more people become part of Wisconsin's Badger Care program. And explain to us why this would bring about good changes in Wisconsin.
Sure, Terry. So as we know, a lot of people know, because it's actually affected them, under the ACA or Obamacare, which is the federal health insurance program, subsidies were provided to people to help make up some of the costs of their premiums, and those expired. And the United States Congress did not reauthorize them. And those subsidies, I'll give you an example. When you're, for example, like an older person who's maybe an accountant who's maybe 60, they're not on Medicare yet, they saw their premiums go up. I was speaking to brokers on this, go up to like $1,000. Oh. Yeah, really big. And as a result, we had 20,000 Wisconsinites drop out of the health insurance pool because they can't afford their premiums. Because not only you pay for the premium, you get the insurance, and then you got your copay, your co-insurance. It's just never-ending onslaught of bills. So the idea is we need to come up with some other ideas. The idea is to come up with some other solutions here in Wisconsin. And the public option, which this is, would allow people to buy into Badger Care, which is run by the state. And this program would offer them insurance coverage that would be more affordable. And again, if it is something that the people end up not wanting and they don't buy into it, then they don't buy into it. But it's a choice. It's a choice. It gives consumers a choice to get affordable health care coverage. And small businesses, especially, who pay some of the highest premiums, would be empowered by this option. So if you're 50 or less employees, you could buy into Badger Care for your employees. And again, what I've seen with entrepreneurs is one of the biggest barriers. Like frequently I'll see a small business person and I'm like, so what does your wife do? Oh, she's got a job with such and such and they have the health insurance. One of the biggest barriers to small business people going out on their own is they don't have access to affordable, good quality insurance. And that's why we need to do something like this. And that's why I'm proud to be a co-author of this bill.
How much do you think that the expiration of the ACA subsidies has done for kind of re-sparking the conversation about how we pay for health insurance in America?
I think it's really sparked the conversation. It is an issue that if you look at polling in Wisconsin or around the country, healthcare costs and accessibility are huge issue for everybody of all political stripes. So when these subsidies expired, when we're finding money for all these crazy things that they're spending money on now in DC, and the fact that they're raising tariff taxes on people, but we can't find a way to reauthorize these subsidies so people can afford healthcare coverage, we got to do more at the state level. And so at the state level, we're doing more. We're stepping up. Where the federal government's stepping back, we're stepping up. And I also honestly think good ideas come from the laboratory of the states. So why not invest in this idea? Why not try to make healthcare coverage more affordable for people and small businesses? Again, there's a lot of these things that sometimes it's hard to see the counterpoint to.
Mm-hmm. There have been previous attempts to expand Badger Care in the past. How is this one different?
This one's different in that we are looking at the lay of the land changing. And this will become something that could pass, and this is something that could happen. And then people will receive the benefits, and instead of just talking about it ad nauseum, people will actually have lower healthcare costs. People will have access to good insurance, because honestly, that's our job in the state, is to make these things happen. And what's different now is that Democrats are going to be in a position, in my opinion, to make these things happen very soon.
Very good. Just a few minutes left in the show. I was just curious to know some of your thoughts about the Assembly has wrapped up for the year. The Senate soon will too. Could always be called back for special or extraordinary session, but this is a common thing on even-numbered years so that the lawmakers can campaign in the fall. But there's just been a lot of speculation about whether February is maybe awfully early to be wrapping up work for the year.
Yeah, pretty early. The governor actually just called us in for a special session April 14th. But again, in the past, when special sessions have been called, they just gavel them right out. The legislature has the power to do that. The majority just does a vote, and all the Republicans gavel out, and we all vote to stay in, and then we go out because we don't have the numbers. But yeah, it's too soon. We were running bills through just breakneck speed. They shoved 88 bills into a calendar, and we're just like pumping them through. And I'm like, guys, let's spread it out. We are doing the people's business. We're being hired by the people. Let's spend more days in session. Let's go through these bills. Let's have discussions where people can come in and speak before the committee and not, directly refer bills to the assembly floor. Let's do it that way. So I strongly oppose the fact that we ended so early. I just feel that we're not doing the people's business.
What might change with a change in leadership in the future? Speaker Robin Vos just announced that he won't run for re-election. The speaker a year from now, maybe Tyler August, maybe Greta Neubauer. Who knows? Things will be different when we're sitting down here talking a year from now.
Yeah, there's no question that Speaker Vos has made quite an imprint as his tenure as Speaker on the state of Wisconsin. The way that he ran the Assembly, the legislation that he ensured was passed through the Assembly, those things are all going to change. And yeah, we'll see. I think this fall is really gearing up to be an opportunity to change course, to get things back on track and address. We've been able to do some stuff around the edges, like Gale's Law and postpartum expansion for new mothers. But at the end of the day, we need some major systematic structural shifts in how we fund schools. And so that we're not just burdening local taxpayers, and that our schools are providing basic sound education for all kids. And that is something that I feel very optimistic about after this fall, that we can get on that first thing in January.
Right, certainly. Politically, what do you see on the landscape for 2026? It's a midterm election year. That's supposed to be good for the party out of power. Do you see that happening this year, or maybe there's some anomalies this year that might cause some things to be different?
Yeah, I think you have your national backdrop. Well, first of all, we have spring elections, and those are in 32 days. I actually was talking with Judge Chris Taylor last night. She's running an amazing campaign. I think she's got a very good chance of becoming our next Supreme Court justice. But then we move into the fall. We've got the national climate, which I think is not good for Republicans because of what the federal government's doing in terms of raising taxes on people through tariffs, through federal overreach, where they're going into states and violating people's civil rights. So that creates kind of a negative backdrop. And then at the state level, we've got 15 years of Republican control of the legislature, and we've seen this crazy distortion where the states run away from their responsibility to support schools and forcing local taxpayers to raise their own taxes on themselves. And those are the kind of things that I think are setting the stage for a change in control.
Very good. How about some opportunities for your constituents to interact with you? What kind of events are coming up around the district that give you an opportunity to get out and meet folks?
Sure. I'm meeting with the Boys and Girls Club this week. I'm excited about that. Really great nonprofit here in Wisconsin that does so much work at the state. They have a really strong state presence, but they have these clubs all over the state, including in my district in Sun Prairie. Meeting with them. I'm going to some ribbon cuttings from some new local businesses. And I just really enjoy all the opportunities to network, the local Sun Prairie Chamber of Commerce. I'm a member of the Optimists Club. I'm a member of the Rotary. We have these great speakers. So I try to get to all these events. I'm going to the Children's Museum is having their fundraiser in Sun Prairie, the Sun Prairie Children's Museum. On Saturday, I'm going to be going to that with my girlfriend, and we're going to be socializing and supporting a great cause. It's great that Sun Prairie, such a small community, has a children's museum, and I urge people to come visit it.
Right. Just a few minutes left in the show. What other sorts of things would you like our listeners to be aware of?
Well, I would just, I'm trying to think what else. There's just so much going on. I just would say I'm going to have an opportunity, I believe, to speak at my alma mater, Carroll University, with one of my Republican colleagues who's also an alumni there, and we're going to be speaking about how to work together and bringing civility back to politics and public policy. there was a desire by the university. All these kids that are growing up see is this like back and forth on social media, and really, can we just kind of reset? And I think I'm really excited. Carroll University is an amazing school. I got so much out of it, and now I get a chance to go back, talk to some of the kids today, and just say, hey, there's more that unites us as Americans than divides us, and I think we should be using opportunities to reach out to people to get that message out there.
And as you mentioned earlier, there have been several initiatives that passed with strong bipartisan support.
Yeah.
How has the climate changed, do you think, in the Assembly because of recent changes?
I think that there are ways. I think what we have to do is we have to get back to the point where we understand that we all ships rise and fall together. The United States of America, we are an amazing country. We have a constitution that I argue makes us the freest country in the world when we follow it. And together, we need to preserve that. And that requires us all as Americans to recognize that we have this common bond. And we have not only are we blessed because we're in this country, but we have this responsibility. And that means coming together. And I've worked with Republicans on different issues and gotten to know them. And sometimes I feel like it's just the system and it's not the individual that's the issue. So I just want to change the system so that we can work together more and not have these other factors like getting in the way. So the thing I want people to know is there's good hope. There's great hope for the future, and that there's a lot that binds us together despite all this divisiveness we see a lot of times in the media. Not, of course, on your show, but in the media,
Well, certainly a good message to end the show on an election year so much. Thank you, Andrew Hysell, for coming to join us. The hour flew right by. It was a pleasure to have you come by.
Terry, I love being on the show. Thank you.
Excellent. You've been listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Thank you.
This is the